everyone. Well, there's actually three of us today. Welcome back to Stuck in the Middle. We are so excited to have a very, very special guest and a great personal friend of myself and Julie's, especially, almost like a son to you.
Oh, he is like a son to me, yes.
So we are going to get into that, and I want you to officially introduce Zack. But before we do, we have to say, welcome back to Stuck in the Middle.
Well, we ain't young, but we ain't dead yet.
That's right.
That's right.
Absolutely. Another
Yes.
week down, everybody. And Julie, you two kind of match with the blue-green. Y'all, I did not get the
We
color
planned
memo.
it that way.
Yes.
Zack.
Well, I'm going to let Julie introduce Zack to everyone. And once you introduce him, we'll say how this all came about.
Okay.
Does that sound like a good game plan?
Yeah. Well, I have known Zack since he was in high school. Actually, whenever I was out at Eastside Elementary, he was my high school person that came in during for school credit, and he would come out there, and he was a big football star, you know, and so they sent him out there when I had kindergarten, right?
Oh.
And so he and I would play Duck Duck Goose and all this stuff, and we would laugh. He would race with those little kids and all, and Zack and I spent many days, many hours talking about life, wouldn't you say? And there was just something about Zack as a young boy that, like, I just loved in my heart. He was just, has always been special to me. We lost touch, and that's when Zack will speak about what went on in his life, but we lost touch, and when he came back and found out where I was, which was by you and I in the Wish Fashion Show on stage.
Wow.
Yes, and so he's like, oh my God, there she is. I've been looking for her for a long time. And he showed up at my job. And I felt like my heart was full.
Aw.
So when he came in and talked to me, and I said, let me tell you something, Zack. And I don't know if you remember this, but I said, I lost you for 12 years, 13 years. And I said, I'm never going to lose you again because I loved you as a young boy and I love you as a man.
Oh.
So he is my son. Yeah, he is. So I love him, and he's a dear person. So that's how I know Zack. Correct?
Yes, correct.
That's awesome. Well, I
Yeah.
can see why. I can definitely see why.
He's
And-
a charmer.
And the reason we invited Zack is because you all that follow us, and we appreciate your support. I always feel like Bartles and James wine cooler commercial when I say that, but we appreciate your support. We've done our crime series. We like to do all that armchair detective work over here, but anyway. And one of the times we were speaking, you were talking about the Menendez brothers, and we were talking about what a rough time they were actually having behind the scenes in their home, even though they presented a certain way. How you can't judge a book by the cover, la la la. And how we were saying, you know, who knows, they might have been thinking that, you know, prison could have been a better situation for them
And
than
it was.
even being in their home. And maybe you said that they
It
said
was.
it was. So I said, you know, I would really love to be able to talk to somebody, because we all, first of all, absolutely no judgment on our parts, because let me just say this, as we all know, we're all one little stone's throw away, hair away from being a person that could be right there. I mean,
Exactly.
absolutely, us, our kids, anybody we know,
Anybody.
so absolutely no judgment. Having said that, I've been fortunate not to, you know, be at that place. Thank God for today. Knock on wood. But, you know, I'm always curious to know, what is it really like? Like, you know, even as a kid, I used to ride by the prison in Belglade, and you'd see the lights on and bunk beds in there, and I was always like, I wonder what it's really like to live a day in the life and be there. And Julie was like, you know what, I have my son that we can talk to about it, and I want you just to briefly tell us a quick synopsis as to what happened to you, and then we want to ask you just a couple of general questions, if you're okay with that.
All right, no
But
problem.
talk kind of loud. 'Cause-
No problem. 2006, my brother, they ended up moving to Kansas, state of Kansas. And so I always, when school out, or when I had a little vacation, I always go and visit. So I went and visit. Yes, he was doing things up there. Was, you know, quite sure selling drugs.
Yeah.
I knew about it,
Yep.
but I didn't have no part. My life was here, his life was there.
Yep.
So me going to visit and being around it, I'm not knowing that he was under investigation. And so by me being in the car when he made a transaction, that tied me in on the conspiracy. So I ended up getting incarcerated 2006 to 2006 for conspiracy to sell crack cocaine in the state of Kansas.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So I pled not guilty, of course.
Wow. And
So,
how many years did you were found guilty, even
Yes,
though
I was found guilty.
you pled not guilty?
Uh-huh.
But just because you were in the car, and listen, I'm not saying you did, or I mean, you're saying you didn't, that's fine. But even if you did, okay, we've all made choices that we're not proud of.
Exactly.
So regardless, didn't, I'm saying you didn't too, that's fine. But how long were you in? Was it truly jail or prison? I don't even know the difference
Prison.
between the two.
Yes,
Prison's
I was-
federal.
And he's gonna talk about that between state and federal.
Yes.
Okay.
So I was in the federal prison.
In
Federal-
Kansas.
Yes, I was in the federal prison.
How
on
many
conspiracy.
years did they say you were gonna go, and how many years did you serve?
They ended up giving me a sentence of 210 months, which is 17 and a half years. But the drug law took it down to 14 years, which was 168 months. So I ended up doing a total of 12 years, 3 months off of that sentence.
Wow, it's a long time.
Yes.
Wow. How old were you when that happened to
I
you?
went in I was 22.
Wow.
I
So you got out at like 34 and a half,
Something, yes.
35 and a half. God bless you.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sidebar, did your brother get in trouble too?
Yes, my brother ended up getting a life sentence, which he's out, thank God. And then
Okay.
he ended up doing 16 and a half years.
Okay.
He
Just
just
got out.
recently
He just
got
got out
out,
last
right?
year. Yes,
Yeah,
last year.
I remember.
Okay.
My cousin ended up getting 25 and a half years. He ended up doing 14 and a half.
Wow.
So he's out as well.
Wow.
So there is something to be said for not being, like they say, what is that saying about like if you're in the car and somebody has an open container,
Well, you're guilty by
everybody's going
association.
guilty by
Exactly.
association.
Yeah.
And if you don't cooperate, they get just as guilty.
Yes.
So I didn't cooperate.
Well, because
Well,
it was
because
your
you're,
family.
yeah, you're trying to, yeah.
Exactly.
No,
I
no,
know
no.
what's
It's your
going on. I'm not
family.
crazy, but
Yeah.
Right.
I totally get that. I
So,
totally get that. Well, welcome. We're glad you're back. I know you've been back for a
Yes.
while. Back in
Thank you.
Florida. You're probably like, Toto, I never want to see Kansas again. Don't
No.
click my heels and let me go back to that state. You know what I mean?
So true.
And
So,
different states have different laws too,
Yes,
correct?
I was
yeah.
in the federal. So the federal is United States. So it's not
Okay,
me getting tried against the state of Florida.
correct.
In the state. But
Okay.
United States is Zack Williams against the government, United States of America. So you got to go against all these people.
Okay.
Wow.
And they got a different rule than actual state. State, you have to have actual evidence to find somebody guilty. The feds is hearsay.
Oh, well.
So
Never
what his
knew
hearsay
that.
is, it's kind of like if you was to say, oh, I bought 3 ounces of whatever drugs from Zack Williams from this time to that time, they give me that with no evidence.
Just because of it being
Yes,
said.
so it's considered called.
Well,
as
that's kinda
ghost
scary.
dope.
That
We call
is
it ghost-
scary.
Ghost dope. So we actually, in our case, had out of 6 people, it was a 6 people indictment. It was me, my brother, my cousin, one of my friends, and his baby mom, and his girlfriend. So it was 6 of us, and total we had like a total of 9 grams of crack. But when we went to trial, it was a key and a half, because everybody's jumped on our case. What I mean by that is people that's incarcerated can actually find out things about you and go to the prosecutor and get you convicted.
That's
And
crazy.
that's what happened to us.
So they got their sentence reduced probably to tack onto you. That's the
Exactly.
crazy.
And
Did
you
you have a jury
That
trial?
is crazy.
Yes, and we didn't know none of these people, but it worked.
Wow.
Wow.
So-
All right, so now here we go. You're
Yeah,
guilty.
no
You're
problem.
guilty in the court of law,
Yes,
whatever.
Exactly.
And when they say
You gotta do
13,
it.
14 years and you're walking out and looking back at your family or whoever and you go behind those doors,
Mhm.
that's what I want to know. Like, I guess what I'd like to know is what, and I'm sorry I'm asking so many questions, Julie, jump in. I know we've talked a little bit about
No,
what
go
questions
ahead.
and we both agreed on them.
No problem.
But what would you say if you had to dispel any myths? Like, for example, things we think as outsiders that go on in the prison system, things that everyday people think, and you're
Mhm.
like, oh, it does not work like that at all.
I
What
think-
are like 1 or 2 things that really come to mind?
I think number one is just because the media say you're guilty. It's actually people in there that actually is guilty.
Mm-hmm.
So when you hear or you see something's going on in court or you hear something's going on TV, and when you hear like somebody say like I'm innocent, actually that person can be innocent. It's
Correct.
just society make that person guilty.
Oh yeah.
So that's a big myth, I think.
Yeah.
So do you feel that there are innocent people
Yes, a
in
lot.
the prison system?
A lot.
Mm-hmm.
That
I'm
is-
saying that I wasn't innocent, but for the crime, I can say that I was innocent. But me,
Right.
the knowledge of me knowing,
Correct.
just as guilty.
I get it.
But if I would personally sold drugs, I would take responsibility like
Yeah.
that was me.
Right.
But for me just being in the car when he sold it, for you to give me that same charge, it's like,
That's tough.
I'm not guilty.
Correct.
That's tough.
Exactly.
For that
Yes.
many years, that's a
Mhm.
hard sentence for sure.
So yeah, that's
And
it.
so tell me about the hierarchy in the prison system. So you go in there. I want to go back to what Tracy said. So they hit that gavel, they're done with that sentence, and
It's
that moment, how did you feel?
That's the best feeling you can have because it's over. Whether they gave you, whether they let you free, or rather it's all over. You know you finna go through this time. So now you focus your mind is like, okay,
You move forward.
I got 17 and a half years. I have to do this time.
How do you mentally do that?
Prayer.
Yeah.
A lot
That's the
of
only
prayer.
thing, yes. Prayer. That's the only thing I think can help me.
And it
because-
still helps you.
And just the
because-
Yes.
faith of knowing, like,
Yes.
okay, I can get through this and having prayer and
Mhm.
hope and faith.
Exactly. So you work towards that date, which you can't see the date at first. This was 2006. My date was 2000. What I got out 18,
Mm-hmm.
somewhere there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a long time. You can't
It's a
see
long
that.
time.
And you didn't even try to probably focus on that,
Mhm.
just one day at a
One
time.
day at a time.
One day at a
And
time.
the decisions that I have to make.
Mhm.
So, what is a day in the life generally like? I mean, does it change throughout the years? Like, okay, on year 4, you get a lot more freedoms than you had at year, or like in the beginning, were you scared to come out of your cell? Did you have a roommate?
I'm never scared.
That's
but-
my guy.
Yeah.
Coming out of, like the state and the county is totally different. The county you stuck in one room all day. You know what's coming. You get lunch, breakfast. You get all that
Yeah.
every day. And I think I did like in the county like 3.5 years before I actually got sentenced.
Because that was your trial. You
Yes,
were waiting.
trial.
That was that waiting period you talked about.
Then I had a mistrial. Then I came back again.
Now, did that time get taken off your sentence? I hope, right?
No, everything went
Forward.
Yes.
Okay.
So I ended up
Okay.
having that, but I did 3.5 years just fighting the case. That was more torture than actually getting my time. When they told me 210 months, I know I wasn't going home. So now I got to figure out how I'm going to get to these 210 months.
That's right.
It clicks.
It's mental.
Yeah, it's a mental thing.
So tell me again. Okay, so did you have a roommate at first?
At first,
what's-
yes, the county is like a 10-man cell, so all of y'all in
Yeah.
there every day, you know. You have your different types of, you have your days, because you don't move. So once you got sentenced, they send you to a prison. A prison is more like a, well, at least in the federal, it's more like an old compound, like an old college compound or old, like army base.
Uh-huh.
So you're not crowded in one room. You got 10-minute moves. You can go to recess. You can go to the library. You can go to church. It's more freedom. It's just you still
Right.
you got a certain time to be to certain places.
Right.
It's more freedom.
So it's more like, I mean,
More like school, actually.
or camp or something
Yeah,
like
something like
that.
that,
Like
yes.
you have like 9 to 10. You can have free time. 10 to 11, go study or do
Yes.
whatever.
10-minute
Right.
moves, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And you have like on one compound, you probably have what, 3,500 people, or more sometimes, depending on where you're going. But it's a big difference between being in the county and actually going to prison. So prison is a lot better than actually being in the county.
Now, see, and I would think it'd be the exact opposite.
Me too.
Because the movies make prison out like, I mean, I think of the, where people are hollering when somebody walks down the hall and they're
Do
like
they?
throwing things
It's
out the
different.
jail.
They rattled their
Yes.
cups all
It's
the-
different. It's different. Like it goes off. I know at least in the feds, I can't really speak on the state, but at least in the federal, it goes off your custody level. It goes off like how many times you've been incarcerated. That was my first time, my first offense. Boom, I was gone. But I was considered to go to a low. You got a camp, then you got a low, and then you got a medium, then you got the pen. The pen is like what you see on movies.
That's where they're doing the
Yes.
rattling of the cups or
Yes,
whatever.
yes. I'm
That's
just saying.
so we don't know about the pen. We just know about the lowest level.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
these are people that are kind of
We're comfortable
Yes.
with that, okay? We are.
So the
Yeah.
low is like, the low is more like people in there for like white collar crime,
Drugs mainly,
drugs,
right?
white collar crime for is like
no
fraud,
murders or
fraud.
anything like that.
You have them, but you don't. A custody level would never get that low to come down there. So you
That
have
makes me
mostly
feel a
like-
lot better, I must say. Just that little fact alone,
Yes.
because I would think, oh my God, I'm gonna be in there with somebody that killed their entire family
Yeah.
as my roommate.
If you go to that custody level, you will.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I was at a low, and then I was at a camp. But you usually have like, in the lows is mostly like a lot of chomos.
Like what?
Chomos.
What's
What's
that?
that?
Child molesters, so we call chomos.
Oh. With you?
Yes, in
Oh,
the low.
oh, ooh.
Oh.
Yes, you can't bother them, so that's another thing.
Okay, you can't.
Mm-mm.
They,
Well, and again,
Automatic 5 years.
if you bother them.
If you
well, if you bother anybody, I would think.
No,
No, child
no,
molesters.
child molester.
As
So they get
in-
special privileges?
Yes, they
So
protect
as
you.
in rape or something of that
Rape,
nature.
beat up, anything is considered a hate crime. You
I
will
never
go
knew
get
that.
prosecuted. Yes,
I
you
thought
cannot
just
touch
the
it.
opposite.
No.
that-
So, okay, this sounds very
Okay.
sick for me to say.
Yes, to be honest.
Very.
Uh-huh.
But if I go to prison, I'm gonna pretend I'm a child molester because I don't want anybody getting near me.
Yes.
I'm just gonna be like, yeah, if I did something really bad. No, I'm
No,
kidding.
I don't think you want
Listen,
that. You don't
I'm
want that.
I'm
Yes.
totally kidding.
You don't
Please,
want
I would be
everybody know
crying.
that.
Yes, you don't want that.
But again, too, and again, like I don't know. Do you just assume that they are 100% guilty? Because just like you said, there
No,
might
I
be
met some
people in
that-
there.
I met some people that, a couple guys that actually, and then it's like, a lot of guys like, that's in there. I met a couple guys that I can actually say that wasn't a charge. And then there's a lot of things too dealing with how big you were in your town.
Mm-hmm.
You know, government like property, government like access.
Mhm.
If they ain't getting what they want off your property, they'll make things up on you. I've seen a lot of those cases pertaining to chomos. So yes, I don't believe a lot of stuff.
Wow. Wow.
That's an eye opener, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It is, yeah, it is. Now, the other thing,
Mm-hmm.
like that we see in the movies or
Fires.
whatever is, you go out into the yard
Mm-hmm.
or where they're lifting the weights and throwing the ball or whatever, and somebody will try to shank you.
Yes, you
Does
have
that
race
happen?
You have a lot of race riots. That's the thing about it. You can go in there and everything is separated.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's truly like race driven, like the Hispanics,
Yes, everything's.
African American, white.
But in my behalf, I did most of my time up north, like Midwest area. So mostly we have like a Florida, it's considered a Florida car. So anybody that's from Florida, like can be Cuban, white guys.
So you were part of the Florida crew?
Yes, I was a part of the Florida crew. So if a white guy come in and be like, hey man, I'm from Florida, so he comes with us. But you also have the opportunity to go with, your people, the white people. Same way with Spanish. Spanish able to come with us if they want. And the reason they break it in cars like that because they held accountable for you.
So is that like an unspoken thing that goes on? I mean, like,
They wait until you get off the bus.
and they say, "Where are you from?"
Yes.
And you're like, "Florida," and they're like, "Come over
Yeah.
here with me. You can hang
Come
with me."
over
So like, you
So they
automatically
start
get a
picking.
group.
Mm-hmm.
You automatically get a group,
Basically, yes.
and like they kind of make a
And
pact.
that's your pack. That's going to eat with you. You got to eat with the table, Florida crew.
You
gotta
have
eat.
to, or that's just.
You
Yes.
have to.
But the prison's not telling you to do that.
No,
You're
the prison, you run the prison. All the guards don't run the prison. We run the prison. That's what people
so
don't
now,
I would never get that.
Mm-hmm.
but
Clarify that.
What
for
I mean
me.
by that is the guards only there to watch us. But to be honest, we run it. If we tell the guards, like, listen, open the door. If you don't open the door at this time, you're going to have a riot. And you can't stop it. They can't stop it. There's only probably 6 of them. How you going to stop? 6 people going to stop
However many.
3,500 people.
so then that is true. One of those thoughts that the guards really don't run the
They
prison.
don't.
The inmates do.
Mhm.
When they say that, that's true.
Absolutely true.
In a way. And the other thing I've always heard, and I'm not saying all guards by any stretch, I'm not saying that, but I've also, again, just going off movies,
Yes.
true, not true, say a lot of times the guards are just as crooked, if
Sure.
not worse, than the inmates.
Mhm. You have your good guards and you have your bad guys. I'm not
Cor-
going to say all,
That's correct.
but you have them.
So that is true
That's
in a
true.
way.
Mhm.
That you might get a dirty guard that is gonna get paid off by somebody or something to
Cell-
keep
cell
a
phones,
cell door
cigarettes.
open.
Cell phones, cigarettes. Tell them how much cigarettes
A carton
were.
of cigarettes is $1,000 in the feds. Yes.
I mean, you'd have to really want to smoke. I'm just saying.
$1,000.
Yes. Like a cell phone, a regular cell phone, don't have to be an iPhone. It's like start off at $1,500 to $2,000.
Is that because you hide it from everybody? You're not allowed to have it?
You're not allowed to have it. Not allowed to have none of that.
But they could sell it to you, get the money, and then turn you in.
They
right?
They can.
Now, did
See,
it?
that's why you have a car. See, the car makes sure everything is ran. Even if there wasn't specifically, let's just say, white guy told on me or a Spanish guy
Yeah.
told on me. Now I go to the shoe, I get caught, but now you got to worry about my car.
Now, what do you mean card?
A car, like a car, like
Like
the
a,
Florida crew.
like the
like a-
credit
Like
card.
your gang?
No, a car.
A car.
A car.
Is that like
car.
a gang?
It ain't really a gang. It's just like
Your group?
your group. Yes.
Okay, that's called
right.
a car.
Yeah, we call it a car in jail.
A car.
Oh, okay,
So
well,
you're in my car.
Yeah.
And if I went to jail, I'd be in your car because we're Florida.
Yes.
Even though now there's no women in the jail, right? It's
No,
just all
the
men.
guard.
Right. Well, now I learned.
Okay,
some
now what
slang.
happens if there's tons of people? Like Kansas probably had the, well, maybe not because it's federal. Because, I mean, what if you don't really want your car? I mean, then
Well-
what do you do?
Too bad.
Once
so
you come in
sad.
that door, it's like that's who you ride with. You don't want to be an outcast because if anything like liable to happen, you don't have no backup.
Gotcha.
Now, are there really a lot of fights in prison or no?
Yes, like when I went in 06. So if y'all remember back then, it was like a lot of deportation,
Yes.
and there was a lot of Hispanic that
Yeah.
was over the border. We call those Pisces.
Pisces.
Yeah, Pisces. And man, and like say for instance, on 1 yard, there's probably like 200 blacks, about 150 whites,
Mm-hmm.
and the rest 2,000 Pisces. So imagine.
I think I'd be wanting to be in the Pisces group myself.
Yes,
I
but you
mean,
can't.
just because.
But you can't. They're not in your car.
Yes.
Okay. It's
So
not-
you
I'd be asking to get in that limo or on that bus. I'm like, I need in. Knock.
So yes, you always have you have riots, and you don't have nothing to do with that riot. It's just because that's your car.
that
So
you
you have to-
gotta,
yes,
you
you
have to
have
go.
to.
But
along.
were you not? I mean, were you ever scared? Like if there was a riot and your car's like
You just
getting.
go in survival mode, do whatever best you can to get you back to your family, and like
Mhm.
it's like movies.
Yes.
When they come, you can't run. Where you gonna run to? You just gotta defend yourself.
Now, do people really make homemade weapons in prison?
Yes, homemade weapons. Because we have a thing that I was explaining to her called a unicorn. The unicorn is for federal inmates to make money. Like 2012-13, when the war was going, we was making bulletproof vests for the army.
Which I think is awesome
Mhm.
So you
because
can make money.
right, it's a way of them having something to do plus giving back to our country.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You learn a lot of things
Right.
in there. You learn welding and stuff. That's only in the feds though. In the state, they get paid by cents. We get paid actually money throughout the month. You know. So we'll
And
probably
so you get like a paycheck,
Yes.
truly,
Yes,
and
on
it goes
your
into
own.
your account,
Yes.
like to spend in the commissary
Yes.
or.
So you get paid monthly. So we probably work the whole month to probably get paid $200-300.
Right.
It's something. It's better than
Nothing.
getting paid like in the States.
And you're
a couple
getting
cents.
education
Yes,
of a
and you
trade
learn,
or
yes.
something, correct?
Yes.
So
But
that's good.
it's a trick to that too as well. Like for me, I wasn't really able to get a trade because my time was like, you gotta have a certain amount of years left to get in it. Say you got 3 years and under, you're able to get in those
Yeah.
weldings, HVAC and stuff like that. When my time changed, I still had like 9 years left.
Yeah.
But when my time changed, it took me under that mark where I was able to get a trade
Yes.
because I was so short, so I couldn't get in. I couldn't catch the class. So
Gotcha.
the only thing that I was able to get was like soldering.
Mhm.
Something when I first got locked up, but I wasn't able to get HVAC and the stuff that I wanted.
But did you get it down the road or no? You
No,
couldn't get
and
it, you
no,
said?
because they already have classes. You got to set up for those classes like 2-3 years before you get in that class.
Got
And
it.
so when my time changed, I was under that radar where I'm able to get signed.
How did your time change? Because of good behavior?
No, because of the drug law. I don't know. Back when I went in 06, it was 5 grams to get you 5 years.
Uh-huh.
5 to 40.
Mm-hmm.
That was the guidelines. You get caught with 5 grams of crack,
Mm-hmm.
you get 5 years to 40. So within that window, you can get. And so I think in the year of 2014, 15, they changed the crack law from 100 to 1 ratio to 18 to 100. So now you have to have 180 grams of crack to get.
So they
5 years.
reduced the sentence
Yeah.
because it's fairness
Yeah.
of the law
Absolutely.
changing or
So
whatever.
it knocked,
Right.
at that time, it knocked like 3, almost 4 years off of me, which was a relief.
Oh my
So it-
God.
You're like, I'll be glad to go out with no
Yeah.
HVAC training. I'll learn it when I get outside of here again.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Which we'll get into that about going from there, your transition
Mhm.
into the halfway house, but still in prison.
I have a big question.
Go ahead.
Conjugal visits. I mean, I'm nosy
No.
like that.
Not
So,
in-
like when your friend,
you
girlfriend,
make waves, but no,
wife,
you make waves.
What
But-
do you mean, ways? What do you mean by that?
You make waves when you have visits. Like we all the inmates and all the guards, all the inmates and all the like visitation. Like we don't have kids come that day, so you like have a line. Say we taking pictures.
oh
and,
gosh.
And you have a line, so you know.
So you get it.
You make a human shield out of with your friend,
Yes.
a curtain,
Yes,
They
right?
have ways, yeah.
yes.
They have
so
ways.
So I mean, it happens.
It happens, but we don't have conjugal visits. I think it was only like Mississippi and California at that time, but not anymore.
Now, did you have a lot of people writing to you? Like, you know how these women write to these
These
men in
women
prison, and boy,
like
they
them
want
in
this
prison.
prison.
That's what you survive off. Like actually, kind of like people that you don't reach out to in there.
Uh-huh.
You get on these sites like Plenty of Fish and Tag. You make it through
There you go.
because you have people that's on there that actually you can have conversation with, and you build a bond.
It
with them.
builds time. It
Do you
makes
still
them
keep in
happy.
touch with some of your friends
Well, I
from there?
did. As far as my friends,
Well, just people you met.
yes, I still like a lot of them.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Because think about it, all those years that was your family.
Oh my gosh.
That's who protect you.
Again, it's like being on a football
Yes.
team, or like me and I call her my work wife. As far as we've worked together for 15 years, day by
Exactly.
day. There's a bond there that's like a family,
Family bond.
and I'm not even living under the same roof.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that would be a big bond.
Yes, they're actually your family because he's watching your life and he's protecting your life and you're protecting his. I'm
Yep.
like literally.
No,
You know,
abs-
so when
Got
you
it.
build that type of relationship, it's hard for you to just get out of prison and forget what you had.
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
So tell us about the food.
see, the food was actually we was good in the federal. What I mean by the federal, like you go to commissary, you can spend like $300. You got beef packs, you got roast beef packs, you got everything
Mhm.
on there that you can cook, and you can get stuff out the kitchen. So I never went to the kitchen. No, because I had cookers, people that bring the onions, bell peppers, raw chicken, eggs.
And
all-
y'all would cook in your car, so to speak.
Yes, we'll get like a trash can, we get the oil, we make a stinger
Uh-huh.
Where would you do that?
at the unit.
At the unit they were in. See, because there's a whole thing about their food,
Yes.
like how they learn to cook, buy the stuff in the commissary. So
Yes.
whatever,
We make
and they
everything.
make do. Yeah.
Everything.
So it's like,
Pizzas,
again, it's like being in a
cheesesteaks.
fraternity, or so like
Yes.
where, okay,
Yeah.
this is your week to buy the chicken, you're getting the bell peppers out of your money, and we're
Yeah.
gonna meet over here
Right.
at 7
Yes.
o'clock on Friday. I mean, I don't know.
This in the federal, so the federal is a lot linear than the state.
And see, that right there,
Yes,
you
it's
said
it's
that, that's
different.
interesting,
It's
wow.
different. A lot of people say the federal is cakewalk, because the state is hard time.
Now, go ahead, I'm asking tons of questions.
No, go
I just
ahead.
wanna,
Go ahead.
Mhm.
I have some.
so at night, you would go, did you have a cellmate? Like, was it you and another guy, or were you in a bigger room with more
Some
people?
prisons. My first prison I went was in Big Spring, Texas. It's an open bay.
Okay,
So you got one room and it's all bunk beds on this wall, in the middle, on this middle, and all on the wall. So it's
was it
open
hard
bay.
to sleep?
When you first got there?
Were you sleeping
yes.
with one eye open, scared? I would have been
Yes.
scared to death.
Yes, but then again, it's kind of like you know.
You kind of get to know, and do you kind of make your cars move close to, like this car's over on this side
Yes,
of the
yes.
room?
So we'll get this ecstasy oils,
Yeah.
and we'll put all of us in one area, so that way we like.
Now, what happens if people act up in your car? Do y'all have like a hierarchy, like a
Like,
president
you gotta
of the
stop.
car?
Shot caller.
What
Yes,
do
we
you
have
call
a
it?
shot caller.
Shot caller.
Shot
Yeah.
caller.
Shot
Who
caller.
calls the
So,
shots?
Basically,
shot.
if we get into it with another group, like a race group, like our shot caller will go in the middle and explain things, and his shot caller will come, and we'll be back
Like
here.
mediators.
Yes, mediator, and we'll ask like, so
Yeah.
what's the outcome?
Mm-hmm.
Some outcomes be after child, or some like, and you can like, okay, he did wrong, you can send him up top. What they mean by sending up top, put him on the door and get him to another compound.
Now,
That'll stop the riot.
how does the shot caller get nominated? Just, do y'all have
Mostly,
a vote?
it's mostly, it's like that people that did a lot of time. That's always like,
That's been there the longest.
and
Yeah.
that you can able to like,
Mm-hmm.
you can trust him basically.
Right.
Now, is that who you would also go to if you had an issue with somebody in your car? Because I'm sure
Yes.
even in your car,
Mhm.
I don't care. You're gonna have days where people get on your nerves,
Yes.
whether they're in your car or not in your car.
But if it's if it's in a car problem, okay, you handle business, and then if we'll go in a little group or whatnot, y'all done? If you ain't done, like listen, no one man being in the car, so either you're gonna handle it and kill it, or you're gonna get off the compound.
Got it.
So that's how.
So y'all don't put up with nonsense in your car.
Well, because you
It's
know,
like a
at the
fraternity.
At the end of the day, it could cause them more time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, right? So my thing is, you talk about doing 10 minutes here.
Mhm.
I know the answer to one of these. Where did you spend the most of your free time, and what did you enjoy the most?
Most of the hours, like either church or at the lifting weights or playing sports.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was young and I love sports, so that kept me like straight.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to work it out.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
working it out.
Most of the yard like workout.
Well, and didn't you learn how to play chess?
Yes, I'm a great chess player.
He's a great chess player.
Awesome.
So
Yeah.
Yes, I love chess. It's
Well, it's a
that's one of the
mental
best
game.
things. Yes, that's one of the best things I think I learned.
And it probably took a lot of time.
Yes.
Because you're thinking it.
Time
So
for
anything
my
like you want to, I would think, take up time.
Mm-hmm.
Did you read a lot of books or?
Yes. That's
See, I'm
all.
reading now, and I
Lot of
love to
books.
read now. That's like a
Lot of
whole
books.
nother world for me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Just here. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
There's only so much I can watch on TV, and then it's like, okay, what? So reading now is a big thing for me that takes a lot of time.
And you work on self a lot. You got decisions. Every morning you wake up, you ain't gonna be the happiest at. So I have those mornings where I get up. Sometimes I don't get letters. Sometimes I don't talk to family members. Sometimes I try to call my kid. And you have days like when you want to come off and you want to release that anger.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's
Yeah.
like that decision, like what I do.
Yeah.
If
Making
I,
the
Yeah.
right decision.
yes, if I was to go left, I know that it's a possibility that I can harm this person or you can harm me, and I can have more time, take me away from my kid, or I can go over here and try to find things positive that I can work on myself with, as far as reading or going to church or talking to somebody that can help me focus.
Did they have a lot of counselors and pastors that would come to the prison to be there for you?
Not really. Mostly we did that with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like we'll have Bible study, and we have one thing about when you going into church, everybody comes together with church. So
Like that's
yes,
where
everybody.
you don't misbehave.
So you have the Mexicans, you have this. Everybody comes there.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go from there, only thing you do is pray for one another and like, hey, just protect yourself, because some stuff you can't stop. A riot, you can't stop it.
Mm-hmm.
If God don't come down and stop it, it ain't gonna stop.
Mm-hmm.
So only thing you can do is come together and pray, and certain people like listen.
Did anybody ever try to escape from prison when you were there? Did everybody plan? Like, do you sit around and write blueprints?
Well,
Do you dig a
I mean,
tunnel
like, are you
underneath?
digging a hole? I'm just
Right.
asking.
not really. It's like I said before, I was at a camp in the low. Most likely when you go to a camp, you don't have gates, you don't have walls and stuff like that, so you can walk right out.
So that had to be
Yes.
That's
on
in a
my
way.
my lower end. You gotta have 5 years and under, and no violent crime, which drugs actually are violent crime, but I had 5 years under, then I made it there, but not really.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of drugs in there though, that cause people to do certain things. Like
So, and that's
try
the
to
other
stay-
thing I've heard, that drugs are just as rampant in
Yes,
prison
it's
as
sad.
they are not. Is that true?
Absolutely.
Well, then how much are people paying for that in prison? If you're paying $1,000 for a carton of cigarettes.
Just say I'm just using this like a nickel bag of weed. You probably can make off that nickel bag of weed probably at least $200 just off a nickel bag.
That people would be crazy to sell it
Yes.
in prison, because then that could just make your time that much more, right?
I would think, yeah.
They more eager to sell it in prison. It's money.
Yeah.
It depends on who your hands you greasy. You won't get caught. You won't get in trouble.
I'd be
Just
scared.
like the streets.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody's scared to sell drugs. If anything, they move to that. That's the only way they get an income in. Yeah, some people don't have families. Some people don't. So that's how you make money.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you came back to how hard was the transition after acclimating to life in prison? Because it is acclimating. It's amazing. Like, just the little bit that I've even heard you talk to me is unbelievable, because it really is kind of a neat human
Interest.
and
It is
about
neat.
people and survival, and how you do make those bonds with people, and how that's our natural thing to do, to get a crowd, or to lean on our faith, and how the unspoken rules of, okay, I may not like this crowd that's not in my car at lunch, but if we're in church, we're in church.
Exactly.
So the social norms are even in prison, it
Yes.
sounds
Yes.
like, and the niceties or manners or whatever you want to
Exactly.
call it, and the pecking order, or
It-
just the hierarchy of
It's totally the
relationships.
pecking order.
So,
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
so, but it's very interesting to me, because I almost feel like there are a lot of rules. It sounds like there are a lot of rules that y'all make, unspoken rules, but rules
It could turn you to a man quick.
in that kind of a situation.
I'm
It
sure.
will turn you to a man quick. All
Yeah.
this playing,
survival.
no, it's all
Yeah,
about respect.
yep,
You're not finna jump line.
yep.
You're not finna walk on my leg and not say excuse me. None of that.
See, and some
Everything
I
is
hate
about
to say it,
respect.
but sometimes I think these young people need to go ahead and
Especially
have
these
about a
younger
month or
ones.
two in there and
That's
learn
true.
about the car and learn about I mean, because sometimes I
Well,
think
they need
people
to
have it
be-
backwards as to what,
Yes.
and it is respect, and
It
It
we
is.
we
It
don't have a
humbles
lot of that
you.
anymore.
It
humbles you.
humbles you. And it is, I do think they need to be scared straight. I mean, because these younger ones, they have no value
Yes.
for life.
That's why when they go in, they
Right.
come out. Either one or two things happen. Either go in there and get hurt, killed, or they come out with a different mindset.
That was gonna be, you led me right into the next question, was how hard was it to adjust after being there for that many years to reacclimating to society? Was that hard? Did
When
did
I-
you
when
just
I-
snap
when I
right
get
back
out?
into it?
Yeah.
No, I still deal with it now.
You do?
Yes. I don't think that's something that you can ever. When I first got out, I couldn't go to Walmart.
It's the anxiety.
Crowds. Like, if I feel like, if I'm at a football game, and I used to have this problem all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at a football game, I try to beat everybody to the gate and leave. Because me being in prison, when everything is over, that's when everything's happened.
Yeah.
Like when it's time to leave the yard, that's where
Yeah.
everybody attack you.
So that's like a trigger.
Yes.
For
it's like
you.
that for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, you don't trust nobody.
Mm-hmm.
The people that you try to trust and the people that you know love you, and the people that you push away. Because you
Mm-hmm.
build this block in your mind, like, whoever loves you in prison, they can be gone tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
One phone call, I can never hear from that person again.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm stuck with dealing with putting my life and my heart and all my stuff back together. So you build this blockage up to the point where you're getting on.
Mm-hmm.
I got out of prison, I didn't know how to deal with that. I still deal with it now.
I know.
If I feel somebody love me, if I feel somebody showing me something that I don't want, I push it away.
Mm-hmm. I could
It's a battle.
I could see how that. Now, do you talk to anybody outside to kind of help you get through those feelings?
Well, I used to go to counseling with Mr. Reverend Brown. He helped me a lot.
Oh yeah, he's
Really
an
helped-
awesome
helped me a
man.
lot.
Yes.
Just the whole concept of myself.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people always say, "Oh, you're not institutionalized," and I'm like, it's two forms of institutionalized. Institutionalized don't have to be like I want to go back to prison. I can't adapt to society,
Mm-hmm.
or you can be trapped in your mind where you don't trust people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a lot of people get out of prison and you see that like always to themselves. It's because you're battling with things that you don't know how to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And you know, have to be protective of your heart.
Yes, that's the thing
And you
about it.
learn that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. My brother's dealing with it as now, so I'm glad that I'm able to be free and able to help him now because he was in the prison like what y'all see on TV in the pen like every day,
Mm-hmm.
death.
Mm-hmm.
And now that he's out and he's dealing with these things, I thank God that I had counseling to be able to help him out now.
That's good.
Well, again, it's almost like now you're his sponsor in a
Yes.
way, like somebody that has been on drugs or whatever, you or AA or whatever, like somebody that's been there, done that can truly be that person you call and say, oh my God, this is how I'm feeling. Because at the end of the day, people that, I always go back to having a baby, I'm sorry, but you know, my male doctor friend can't say I know how you feel, because no, you don't, unless you've had a kidney stone. Then maybe you do.
Right,
But my
right.
point is like, you know, like you've been there, done that, or an alcoholic's been there, done that. They've
Exactly.
felt those
They
internal
walk the walk.
pains.
They walk
And I
the
mean,
walk.
don't get me wrong, God bless people that help people that haven't been there, but it's still a different level.
It's a different level, and only certain people can understand it if you've been there.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like
course.
it's kind of like a preacher that never did nothing in his life, going to the hood or going to somewhere and telling these bad kids that Jesus is gonna fix this for you.
But
No,
that's
you
not
need
gonna
somebody
work.
that actually
Right.
was there, was one of them that
Right.
came and transferred themselves back and
Yeah.
got to this place in life.
Which is where
Mhm.
I want to go now, is
Mhm.
that through this whole process
Mhm.
and through the anxiety, through coming back into society, you've made some really good decisions,
Yes.
and you have people in your life
Mhm.
that do love you, me,
Yes.
and
Thank
and just so everybody knows, I don't always tell him what he wants to hear.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, there have been
Exactly.
times I've tore you up.
Yes.
I mean, tore him up, but it comes from love. So he doesn't have to get upset with me, because he knows I'm not hurting this heart right
Exactly.
here. I'm just being honest.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go to prison, you can go through these things, these
Mhm.
horrible things, and you can come out on the
Yes.
positive side,
Yes.
which is
Mhm.
where you are now.
Absolutely.
You're living your life.
Yes.
I'll never forget that day. I saw you driving down W.C. Owens,
Yeah.
and I was at Wild Magnolia's open house,
Yeah.
and he had this donk
Yeah,
car,
my old school.
that old school purple car. He didn't see me. He was cruising down W.C. Owens. Those dreads were flying in the air, and he just looked. It was like
Yes.
freedom,
Exactly.
right? And
Mhm.
so that's where you can go if you make the right choices.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Enjoy the small things.
Right. Now, do
Small
you
things.
talk to a lot of the younger kids and
Yes, that's
stuff?
why I coach football, so I
Good.
try to tell a lot of those things.
Good.
A lot of them know me,
That's
so I try
great.
to tell them like I don't act like I'm better than them. I just be on their same level.
Yeah, you got to get on
Yeah.
their level.
And again, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, it just, and that's why I always say it's just, sometimes it could be that one poor decision, and we've all made
We've
them.
all done them.
And it's like, by the grace of God, I mean, just thank you for not letting me get in trouble. You know what I mean? Because listen, I mean, everybody, well, maybe there are some people out there that haven't made a poor choice,
Mhm.
but
Well,
there's
we've
not,
all
you know,
made poor
and
choices.
I feel like that the younger crowd, you know, like their brains aren't developed enough to think it through.
Mhm.
Like
They're
it's just, you're
acting all
not.
bad and tough, and they have no idea
idea.
what bad and tough
Absolutely.
is.
You know.
Absolutely.
Right?
And throughout it all, I can say that I wouldn't change one day.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
Okay.
change one day.
yeah, because it made you a better man.
Yes, if God make me go do it all over again, I'd do it all over again.
Mhm.
I wouldn't
That's
change
wonderful.
nothing. Nothing that happened in life, I never would
Yeah.
change it.
Yep,
Because
never.
it made me who I am today.
Absolutely.
I go
Yeah,
through things, I battle, but at the end of the day, I know who I can trust
Yeah.
and I can depend on.
absolutely.
which is
I
God,
totally
so-
agree. Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
can't thank you enough. I mean,
know.
I could talk to you all night long. I'm
I
just telling you.
know.
And I can't thank you for sharing
Thank
your
God.
story,
Mhm.
sharing your time with us, and the reality of everything, and
The
just
truth about
and
things.
many continued blessings for you, your family. I can tell you're such a fantastic person, and again, I agree with you in that I really do feel that, you know, things sometimes happen and we don't understand why,
Absolutely.
but on the other side, we look back and, you know what, I mean, like I'm about to cry just because you are such a blessing for so many, and had that not happened, maybe you wouldn't be touching so
Exactly.
many people, and I know it's through the hand of God. I do
It
understand
is,
all of that.
And
Um,
not only that, I mean, Zach, I've told you 100 times, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I
Mhm.
I'm
appreciate it.
truly proud of you.
And you're a great role
Love that.
model, you know?
Yes.
And I mean, there's so many people that haven't had the life lessons you've had that aren't really great role models. Like, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes
Yeah.
you gotta feel the pain to get to, and that doesn't mean go out there and do anything wrong, but it just
No,
means,
don't.
you know, you're a great mentor, because I do feel like that people can relate to people that have real life stories, you know?
Exactly.
And
Well,
I'm grateful
thank
for
you.
you. Yeah, I'm grateful.
Thank you. It wasn't painful, was
No,
it?
just having this conversation, honestly, it still wants me to be better. So
Oh,
this kind of therapy for me to be able to open up still about
Yep.
things that I'm dealing with, especially from prison. So I think
Oh, well, anytime.
Thank
Listen,
you.
it makes
Come
me
sit
feel
with
good
us
too. That's what I'm
anytime,
saying. Yeah, for
anytime.
sure.
Yes.
Well, we thank you.
Absolutely, thank you so much. So,
All right. On that note, we're going to let Zach get home to his family, and we will see you all next week. So don't forget,
to
like us,
love us,
share,
care,
and be kind.
Thank you.
Bye.